prepare your eardrums because we are sitting in a 2018 Ford Mustang Shelby GT350R, and I cannot wait to rev this thing out to 8,250 RPM. I've only driven a GT350 in the past, and it was by far my favorite Mustang, so how will this 350R version compare? And ever since the GT350 was discontinued, arguably there has not been a more exciting, raw, and visceral Mustang. Some have even described the GT350 and 350R as the Mustang that Porsche would make. The owner, Matt, mentioned that he's done absolutely nothing to this car in terms of modifications. Of course, the highlight of this car is that 5.2-liter flat plane crank naturally aspirated V8 Voodoo engine. In both GT350 and 350R forms, it makes 526 horsepower and 429 pound-feet of torque. And that's right, 8,250 RPM redline. It hasn't been reused in any other Ford production vehicle, which makes this really, really unique. As you can see here, GT350R badge, this is chassis number JR595. From the exterior, there are GT350 badges without the R. So how you know it's an R, from the interior, you have this emblem, you have the R stitching on the headrests, and from the outside, we have a larger rear wing, the carbon fiber wheels, and this larger front splitter. You can only get this car with a 6-speed Tremec manual transmission, strut front multi-link rear suspension with MagneRide adjustable dampers, and this is a pre-facelift model year, being a 2018, which means we do not have the updated front suspension geometry that supposedly improves straight line and steering feel. The MSRP of the R version was only about $7,500 higher than a standard GT350, and on the used market right now, I've seen these go for as low as around $60,000. So what does the R version give you over the standard GT350? As I mentioned, we get these super expensive and lightweight carbon fiber wheels. The owner, Matt, mentioned that to buy these now, you're looking at $5,000 per wheel. This also removes the back seat, the audio system, the floor mats, and the auxiliary gauges, although you can add these items back. But if you have it in the lightest spec, it's about 100 or so pounds lighter than a GT350. We also get a differential cooler, an engine oil cooler, and a transmission cooler, which make this even more suited to track work, and of course the additional aero from the front splitter and the rear wing. We also get a resonator delete with this car, which makes it even more insanely loud. Impressions of the interior, it's a Mustang. Other than this Alcantara wrapped steering wheel with a red racing stripe, these Alcantara bucket seats, it's a pretty cheap, bare bones interior. There's nothing really to write home about in terms of specialness in the interior other than the main touch points here. We do have a very nice shift knob, leather wrapped, and of course the metal pedals. But other than that, it's a pretty bargain bin plastic Ford interior. But that's not why you buy a GT350 or 350R. This is the reason why. And we're gonna put it right into sport. The exhaust valve opens up, dampers stiffen up as well. There's also a track setting which stiffens up the dampers even more. We'll start out in sport, and that also affects the weight of this electric power steering rack. Now, even if you did have this in normal mode, once you get beyond a certain throttle position, the exhaust valve opens up anyway, which makes it a challenge to actually pass sound at a lot of tracks here in California. Oh my goodness. That's not even 6,000 RPMs. This car feels big. It's so wide, so long. There's so much hood out in front. There's 6,000 RPM. Oh, those downshifts. Wow, this car feels so big. But the suspension tuning feels excellent. There's the red line. What a sound. What a ridiculous engine. Now right away when you hop into this car and start driving it, even at normal speeds, it tram lines quite a bit. These massive 305 section width front cup 2 tires means this thing does not really want to go straight a whole lot. Wow. Really good transmission feel from this Tremec unit. Plenty of straight line performance. It's not supercharged, it's not twin turbo, but you'd be hard pressed to call this car underpowered. It does feel quite heavy, obviously at around 3,800 pounds, but it handles its weight so well. Because of the Magnerite dampers and this track-tuned suspension, it really handles these corners with so much poise. Excellent brakes as well, carbon ceramics, reduced unsprung weight, also from these carbon fiber wheels, of course. To go sideways on throttle. We're keeping the systems on. You can feel that this car has throttle steerability or adjustability. Whoa. Now the gearing is a bit long, but it makes sense for this power level and for how many revs this engine has to work with. Let's try turning it up to track mode. The suspension gets even stiffer. Enhanced throttle response. Really good throttle response. Very easy to heel toe. The manual has a nice meaty feel to it. Surprisingly, a pretty easy car to drive quickly outside of just how massive it feels. The thing is so wide, I can barely keep it in the lane here. But that cornering balance is so nice. This is a car that has a ton of mechanical grip. These massive tires and the Magnerite dampers. And of course on track, we've got the aero helping us a bit as well. It's just a brute of a car, but in a good way. It doesn't feel like Ford has just thrown an excessive amount of power at it without giving the chassis to match. It really is a very well-rounded car. One that obviously is going to be super capable on track, but even on the street, if you leave it in normal or sport, because I do think track is a bit overdamped, the car feels pretty approachable. I just wish there was a bit less tram lining. I wonder if the 2020 facelifted model year really does noticeably improve that aspect. Let's throw it back into sport here. This engine is the star of the show, no doubt. This actually has the chassis to back it up. I would love to compare one of these against a proper SS1LE or even ZL1 1LE model, because that is widely considered one of the best track, muscle, or pony cars of all time. Absolutely outrageous vehicle. Amazing engine with a chassis to match, amazing 6-speed gearbox, even really good steering feel for an EPS. Good amount of weight and good feedback, good load up in the corners, excellent brakes, excellent pedal placement and throttle response. I really don't have a whole lot to complain about here outside of the tram lining, but once you actually get the car up to speed, it's not really a problem. It's just that when you're trying to drive it in a reasonable manner, it does become a bit much. But that's the point of this car, isn't it? Just the engine alone means you can never quite chill when you're driving a Shelby GT350R. So at a current market value of, let's call it $55,000 to $80,000, depending on mileage and condition and model year, is this actually the best pony car or muscle car you can buy if you're actually into driving dynamics? If you want your muscle car to feel like it was made by Porsche, is this the way to go? These Voodoo engines are known for having some reliability issues, so that is definitely something to watch out for. But from a pure driving dynamics standpoint, this is really, really hard to beat. So big shout out to Matt. Let me know what you think about the GT350R. Would you choose this or a Camaro SS or ZL1 1LE? Let me know down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you very soon.